Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Hannah and let's talk Les Miserables. So what you just would have seen is some clips from Parc de Sceaux. I finally learned how to say it correctly. We went there yesterday just because it's a place that I've heard a lot about, but it's about an hour outside of Paris, so we've just never really gone, especially since April is the best time to go see it, since that's when all the sakura blossoms are in bloom. So it was nice to see, and it is a really big park actually, but it's just a bit too far to go to consistently. Anyway, I am now actually on book 5 in Les Miserables. It's called Hunt in Darkness, I think it is. I pretty much just looked it up and already instantly forgotten it. Yeah, it's called Hunt in Darkness, and there was actually, I didn't realize this, but there was actually only one chapter left in book 4 when we ended last week. So I read that chapter, and then I've actually read the first 3 or 4 chapters in this other book, and so far all book 5 has been is pretty much just Jean Valjean and Cosette kind of wandering around Paris in the middle of the night because Jean Valjean has noticed Javert was around, and so they're kind of trying to escape him right now. And I don't really understand why Javert was in that area or anything, but basically there was one night when he thought the beggar person was Javert, and then the next night he was like, oh no, that's not him. But then Javert literally ends up like moving into the building he's staying at, and so it's just like, what the heck is going on? So I don't know if it's actually supposed to be him or if it's supposed to be like him mistaking someone else for him. But all signs right now are pointing that it's actually Javert, and so it just seems kind of weird because Jean Valjean is presumed dead, so I don't know if Javert just didn't believe that and has been trying to find him ever since or what. But basically this whole part isn't in the other media for Les Mis, so we have finally hit parts in the book that aren't in like the musical and movie and stuff. So yeah, there's like Javert and these other 3 guys that are seemingly following Jean Valjean while he's going around Paris with Cosette, and he's just kind of trying to find a safe place to lay low for the night. And pretty much right where I stopped reading, he has gotten to a place where he can't go any further because there's like kind of like a guard type guy there, but if he goes back he'll run into Javert, so he's trying to figure out what he wants to do there. So there hasn't been like a time skip or anything. This is literally just a few weeks after he got into Paris with Cosette. Also, the first chapter of book 5, the first part of the first chapter in book 5 I should say, Victor Hugo talks about how he wasn't in Paris for a while, so when he was writing this, the Paris he knew didn't really like exist anymore because things had changed. Places that used to be roads and houses no longer existed, and so he's basically like, sorry if that doesn't line up to how things actually are. But now, I mean, it's like 200 years later. So I think that's kind of interesting that he already had like kind of a disclaimer like that of being like, hey, just because I say this place is there doesn't mean it's actually going to be there today. I thought that was kind of interesting way to introduce that book, but it seems like the entirety of book 5 is going to be them trying to escape Javert. So I'm kind of interested to see if they actually encounter him, especially since this isn't something that we really see in the other media about Les Miserables. So the rest of this week is actually going to be kind of busy, but it's the second half of the week. On Thursday we're going to play D&D Curse of Strahd for the first time in like a month and a half because our friends are finally back from their vacation, and so we're doing that Thursday. Friday night we're going to a movie. There's a thing here called Lost in Translation where they play French movies with English subtitles, and we're going to see the one that's basically called Notre Dame is on fire kind of thing. It's about the fire at Notre Dame. It's like a recreation of what happened, which we lived right by Notre Dame when that fire happened, so we were actually there and saw the whole thing happen. So every time something with that comes up, I like instantly start crying. Like just watching the trailer for this movie, I was crying. So I'm kind of scared I'm just gonna cry for the whole movie, but really looking forward to seeing that. And then Saturday at noon, I have a book club meeting, but we're also probably gonna play D&D that day. So yeah, second half of the week, definitely gonna be more busy than the first, but still kind of trying to get back into routine after Sicily, just because I was sick for so long after coming back. I still have a bit of a cold even, like it's really frustrating. It's really hanging on there, but yeah, those are the plans for the week. Damn, I look rough today. Ugh. Anyway, today's Tuesday, I think, and I just finished reading 2 more chapters of Les Miserables. The titles of the next 3 chapters are kind of funny. The next one is Beginning of a Puzzle, then Continuation of the Puzzle, and then The Puzzle Deepens. So that's gonna be a bit interesting, I assume. I'm not exactly sure what the puzzle is referring to. I don't know if that's still talking about getting away from Javert or what is going on there, but that's what these 2 chapters were about. Pretty much where I left off yesterday. They were kind of like cornered, and Jean Valjean was trying to figure out what the hell he's gonna do. So this is basically him solving that problem and getting into hiding, so that way Javert, who apparently met up with a military patrol, so there's like now 8 people, and now they're all searching for, I guess Javert must know he's Jean Valjean. Like, I don't know, I didn't realize his cover would get blown this quick, but I don't know for sure because he hasn't actually said anything yet. So I wonder if we'll find out before this book ends. There was one part where he was really mean to Cosette. Like, she's been really chill this whole time, and she's like, who's following us? And he's like, it's Madame Thénardier, she's coming to get you, be quiet. And it's just like, fuck, don't traumatize her like that, that's mean. But there was one part that described Jean Valjean that I thought was pretty interesting, and I'm gonna read that out loud real quick. Yeah, here it is. It says, Jean Valjean had the singularity that he might be said to be doubly endowed, on one side with the aspirations of a saint, on the other with the formidable talents of a criminal. He could draw on either as the case required. I thought that was really interesting because it references his background of being in the prison, obviously, but it also shows how much he has changed since then. And I don't know, I just think it shows the duality of Jean Valjean and just how he's a complicated individual. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. It's just 2 chapters and not much is happening, especially since it's pretty much just him trying to figure out what the hell he's gonna do. So we will continue on more with that tomorrow. See this thing every time we go to our friends. Can I open it? Oh yay, free tiny library. What is in here? Oh, that's funny.
Checking out the library?
Yes. So jumping ahead a few days, today is now Friday. I'd wanted to film yesterday, but I kind of ran out of time before we had to go to D&D, so didn't quite get to that, and you can see Part D extending in the background. So I have read 4 more chapters. I read the 3 that were like those puzzle titles, and I just read 1 more today, and pretty much the puzzle chapters were all just Jean Valjean trying to solve the issue of the situation of them needing some place to stay for the rest of the night. And it's like 2 in the morning, and he's hearing like people singing, and so he's just like, am I going fucking crazy? Like, where the hell are we? What is going on? Is this like divine providence? What the hell? And then he hears this bell, and so he's like freaking out even more. He's just like, what is going on? And because of the singing and stuff and how like kind of deserted the area looked, I'm thinking, okay, this is probably a convent, which turns out it is. But the guy with the bell It turns out he's the guy that Jean Valjean saved when his cart fell on him. So like that iconic scene in like the movie where he lifts up like the cart and shows his strength and everything. It's that guy. And it's just like, damn, what a coincidence. But Jean Valjean doesn't recognize this dude at first, but the guy recognizes him, so he's like, Père Madeleine? And Jean Valjean's just like, fuck, it is too early in the morning and I am too stressed out for this shit. So he's basically just like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? Where the hell are we? He kind of like flips it on this guy, because obviously the guy is freaking out and is like, did you just drop in from the sky? Like, he didn't even say hello to this dude. Jean Valjean just walked up to him and he's like, I'll give you 100 francs for a room. And the guy's like, oh my god, what the fuck? Because he's kind of stressing out even more because this is winter and I kind of keep forgetting that it's the middle of winter here. And neither him nor Cosette are wearing like winter clothes to be outside. And it's the middle of the night, so it's super cold. And at this point, Cosette has fallen asleep and she's like wrapped up in his coat, but she's not moving and she's barely breathing, so he thinks she's dying. So he's in a bit of panic mode here and just sees this guy with this fucking bell attached to him. And he's just like, whatever, I gotta do what I gotta do. I guess it turns out pretty good that the guy recognized him, because he's like, don't tell anyone like what you've seen tonight and what you know of me, blah blah blah. And the guy's like, you saved my life, of course I'll do whatever I can for you. So it seems like they found a room for the night, but the bell, I guess, was to ward off the people in the convent, like warning them that this dude was out and about. Because the convent is obviously, it's all women, and this guy is the gardener there, and I guess he's the only male there. And he's like, there's a lot of young women here, so I wear the bell so they could stay away from me. And it's just like, that's both smart and creepy at the same time. Like, not sure how I feel about that one, but that explains that at least. So that's where I've ended for today. And tonight, we are actually going to a cinema called the, well, it's the Harlequin, but since you have to have like an article in front, it's like L'Harlequin, and it's spelled basically like Harlequin but without the H. We haven't been there before, and it's kind of like in the middle of the city, but we're going there for an event going on by what's called Lost in French-lation. They play French movies with English subtitles, and we've gone to a few of their events in the past. I've probably mentioned this earlier in the reading vlog, but tonight is the movie. It's at 8, and it's called Notre Dame Brûle, which in English is Notre Dame is burning. And I am 100% gonna cry through this entire movie. I already know it. So kind of preparing myself for that, but it's supposed to be really good. And at first I thought it was just gonna be, I don't know if I've said this before, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I thought it was gonna be like an actual like documentary on the entirety of what happened and be like real footage and stuff, but it's a fictional documentary. I don't want to say mockumentary because that's not the word that was used, and it's not like a parody or anything like that, but it's like they filmed it like an actual movie, but it's what happened. Like, I don't really know how to describe it. It's a fictional documentary, and it's gonna be super weird since we saw everything that happened, but I'm curious if they are gonna use some like the real life footage and stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure how it's gonna go. I wonder if it will be explained more at the movie, but I've been looking forward to seeing that. So that's our plan for tonight. Tomorrow I have my book club meeting. Still don't know if we're doing D&D tomorrow or on Sunday, but I assume it's gonna be tomorrow for our other campaign. And that's kind of everything that's happening right now. To the busier part of the week.
I don't know where he's here now.
B.
No. He's...
He filmed me trying it, and it was not good either. So.
Very concerned. Okay. When you do it that little, it's fine.
Okay, see, that wasn't bad.
It tastes, when I first did it, kind of tastes like bubble gum for a half a second. Like spicy bubble gum.
Okay.
That's enough.
I mean, if I will taste wine, and then if I like it, I will have a glass, but...
Alright. I will do to the 1.
Glug, 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 glug.
It looks almost syrupy.
It kind of tastes syrupy. It tastes a little bit like cough syrup.
I'm still not getting like a strong perfume of alcohol though. That's fascinating.
Cough syrup is trying to kill you.
Alright.
Now my mouth is not.
Maybe they gave us a decoy one or something.
A little bit.
I'm gonna knock it
It's
back.
tingly. You're gonna try it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. I mean,
Is that the trick?
That's almost the only way that I
sipping?
can. Because if I sip on it, it's gonna burn more.
Yep.
So might as well
That's true.
just rip the
Shoot
Band-Aid
it
off.
and get it over with.
All right.
Have at it.
Cheers. Ooh.
Ooh!
That's the biggest reaction I've ever seen him have.
That's alcoholic.
His eyes are watering.
Yep, I see that.
So it's definitely spicy. The bubblegum is correct.
Yeah,
100%
right?
bubblegum. But yeah, but then at the same time, it's like a little cough syrupy.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so you took how much up to the 1?
I took up to the 1. Burning
I should
down
have
in
taken
here, though.
more.
Oh, yeah.
I feel bad because I'm the one who you've gotten a reaction out of.
No, it's
Not
fine.
the
Cheers.
robot and the guy used to bourbon. It's not gonna taste like anything.
Yeah, that definitely feels like gasoline.
Yep.
Is anybody else?
It's a bit of a mess behind me, just ignore that. Today is actually Sunday. This weekend was so busy, I just didn't have time to film when I wanted to. Like yesterday, I had to go to my book club meeting. I was home for only like about 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, just not enough to grab a sandwich to eat, and then had to go straight to D&D. So a bit chaotic. But first, I actually want to talk about the movie that we saw Friday night, Notre Brûle. And it wasn't exactly what I expected. I had said before that I didn't want to call it like a mockumentary because that wasn't the words they used on the site, but it almost had that parody feel at times. There was actually a lot of humor put into this movie, which kind of surprised me and was a bit jarring at times, especially when they especially when they included a Trump scene, and I was like, is this really necessary? So there were a few times where I was actually put off by the humor a bit, just because like the situation's obviously extremely serious, and it just almost felt like they were making fun of it a bit, and that just felt very, very strange. Did cry in a few spots. They do use some actual footage, which they kind of had to do because they had some scenes with Macron, the president, and those were actual like news scenes and stuff like that. They had some actual footage from like people on the ground and stuff, like cell phone footage, and those are the scenes that always get me because Toma and I were there, like we were standing next to the Seine watching it burn and everything, so like we have those exact videos like on our own phones, so it's almost like reliving that moment. Like we can literally just go on our phones and see those same clips that we took ourselves. And I think that's what gets me, and that's why I start crying and stuff, just because it's so real. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just so crazy. But also, one thing they did in this movie that I didn't understand why they made this change is they had the date, like that happened correct, but they made that be Easter Monday, and that's obviously how the movie starts. They're just like, it's this day, Easter Monday, and I was like, that's not right. Like, there's no way that was Easter Monday, because here they don't celebrate Easter Sunday, it's Easter Monday. And usually on Easter Monday, like, almost everyone has work off, and when the fire happened, Toma had just gotten home. He'd only been home for like 10 minutes when we saw the news article that Notre Dame was on fire, and he had to walk past Notre Dame to get home, and when he had walked past, nothing had happened yet. So right away when it was trying to say it's Easter Monday, I was like, there's no way. And I double checked after the movie and it was not Easter Monday. So I really don't understand why they made that change. I think that just kind of makes it a little confusing for those that aren't as familiar with the events. But yeah, so in the end, we both felt the movie was just okay. It doesn't really go into a lot of detail on like the strategies they use and them trying to like problem solve the situation. And obviously, since they can't have like the actual president and the actual mayor in the movie, they either used news clips or they just really didn't talk about them very much. Like I said, there's a lot of humor in it, which was very weird. But yeah, it was just okay. But if you're interested in what happened, how it affected the French people, and like how it was like watching it happen, actually being here and everything, I definitely recommend the documentary, Notre Dame, Our Lady of Paris. I watched this when it came out. I think it released in 2020, and it's a straight up documentary of what happened. It's all like live footage and everything, and people talking about that day, and it is fantastic. It goes into a lot of depth of everyone that helped save the cathedral, all of the firefighters, how hard they worked. Like, I feel like this documentary showed so much better than the movie we just saw, of just how hard the firefighters worked to save the cathedral and like how much it meant to them and everything. So that is a documentary I highly recommend. I just looked it up briefly before filming, and there was an article from last year saying that it's available on Hulu, but I'm not really sure beyond that, or I'm not sure if it's still on there or not. But if you have a chance to watch it, do it, please, and then tell me how you enjoyed it, because it's obviously a subject that means a lot to me. When I first ever came to Paris, like, it wasn't the Eiffel Tower I saw first, it wasn't the Arc de Triomphe, it was Notre Dame, because that's where Thomas lived. Like, it was just right there. So, like, being on that bridge and being able to see Notre Dame and everything, like, that's just such an iconic image for me, and to me, like, that's Paris, like, that's where home was. So, seeing it burn was a little bit traumatic. And the rebuilding and everything and all this stuff after everything that happened, it just means a lot to me. So anyway, I've already been talking a lot about that, but like I said yesterday, I had a book club meeting. There was only 3 of us all together, which is always kind of sad, because there's literally, it's a local book club, so I mean, obviously you're not going to expect it to be huge, but there's 800 people in the Facebook group, so you think more than 3 of us would show up to the meetings. Then we had D&D, and we've been doing like this pit fighting storyline, and my character is the one that has made it all the way to the end, to the champion, and we finally finished that last night. I won, yay! I barely defeated the champion. My character, Searly, she had 3 HP left at the end there. It was very, very close. So anyway, I just finished the last chapter of book 5. So now I'm on book 6, which is titled Le Petit Picpus, which, I didn't say this before, but I'm going to say it now, where Jean Valjean and Cosette are right now are actually in a fictional arrondissement of Paris. It had it as like a footnote a few chapters back when they first entered there. They're like, yeah, this doesn't actually exist in real Paris. This is a fiction that Victor Hugo created. So this isn't a place that I can like go to and be like, hey, this is where they stayed or anything, because it doesn't actually exist. It's not real. Picpus is actually a thing, and this one's called Petit Picpus. So they say like, hey, he just kind of based it on this. But yeah, that doesn't actually exist. What I just read was pretty much Javert's point of view of what just happened. I think it's safe to say that Cosette and Jean Valjean are going to be safe for now, because Javert kind of has to give up in the end. So that's when it switches to his point of view, and it's pretty much him kind of coming to terms with, yes, he did see Jean Valjean, he's still alive. Obviously, one of the things, I've talked about this before a bit, where I've wondered, like, why is Javert so obsessed with Jean Valjean? And this talks more about that. And I definitely appreciate it, because it makes a lot more sense in the book than in the movie and... what the heck? than in the movie and the musical. Gosh, gosh, that word escaped me. So pretty much like Javert reads in the newspaper that Jean Valjean's apparently dead, but then he starts hearing things, like he finds out about how Cosette was taken, and he's like, he had talked about that, maybe it was him. And then he finds out about some guy who's seemingly poor but is actually rich, and he's like, that's suspicious, that kind of reminds me of someone. And so the scene where Jean Valjean thinks he sees Javert, it actually is him. He kind of took the place of the beggar person to be able to see like who this guy was and stuff, and he recognized Jean Valjean, but he wasn't sure. And it also talks about how, like, in this time, the Paris police, like, there wasn't a lot of confidence in them. Still isn't. And that they were going through a lot of problems. Oh my god, you just jumped out of nowhere. So, like, if he gets this wrong, if he, like, tries to arrest this guy and it's not Jean Valjean, he would probably be dismissed from the police force, and it would be, like, this huge deal. So he's, like, he wants to make sure. So he follows them, and Jean Valjean isn't as, like, hidden as he thinks he is when he's trying to escape with Cosette. Javert has eyes on him the whole time, but he wants to be so sure he doesn't arrest him right away, and that ends up biting him in the end, because when they think that they have him cornered, Torty's eating, by the way, so if you hear that, that's just what it is. So when they think they have him cornered, Javert's like, oh, I'm going to toy with him a bit, and it explains how he's basically has this net casted, and he's just going to slowly tighten it until he has Jean Valjean. Well, he tightens it all the way, and they don't see anyone. And one of the other police officers actually calls him a wizard, which I thought was kind of funny. But Javert is then kicking himself and everything, and is like, why the hell did I wait? Like, why did I have to be so arrogant? And it talks about how, like, Napoleon made a mistake with Russia. Alexander the Great made a mistake here. So-and-so made a mistake here. This is where Hannibal, like, fucked up. And so he starts comparing him to all these other people. I'm just like, Javert might be a good police officer, but he's not that great. Like, let's not put him up on quite that pedestal. So that's how he ends up being foiled in the end. And when daybreak comes, they kind of have to give up. But he leaves 2 people there. But I kind of feel like it's going to be a bit more chill now, and that they're not going to be in such immediate danger now. But we'll see if I'm really wrong or not. This ended a few days later than it usually does, but thank you for hanging out with me. It is always appreciated, and until next time, bonne journée and au revoir.